What's up, guys? This is Rise and welcome to another video. I was pleasantly surprised when I found in my Pokemon storage box that I had a shiny Shadow Coughing. I think it was either the first or second shiny Shadow I ever acquired, along with an Ekans, which is pretty funny, right? The classic signature Team Rocket Pokemon with Jesse and James, I believe, from the anime. And that shiny Shadow Coughing had pretty good PvP IVs. I had TM'd it back during a Rocket event. We evolved it straight away, ran it on stream, and had some really fun games, some really intense battles, and you're about to see them in action. This is going to be part 1 of 2, and you guys hopefully leave a like on this video with Shiny Shadow G-Weezing. It's new signature pick for me potentially, because I have a pretty good IV one, and we're going to see this thing in action. Super spammy, super fun, and make sure you leave a like for part 2, because part 2 has some of the most insane wins of the season, but part 1's no short of fun either. And here we go. It's Gastrodon, Mandibuzz, and Galarian Weezing, and we will make actually a team adjustment at some point in the video. So here we are against the Talonflame, going to let this fly come through. A bit awkward amount of health on the Talonflame here, so I'm going to actually come in with Weezing, and they pivot into a Guzzlord. They did not wait to see what was going to come in. So I build up some energy, go for this Brutal Swing for some chip damage, and I actually get a shield off of them, and then I catch onto my Mandibuzz, assuming they would go for maybe a Sludge Bomb against my Galarian Weezing, but it's actually a Brutal Swing, so that works out too. Now we're going to overfarm with Mandibuzz. If they Sludge Bomb us, we are totally fine with that. Sludge Bomb from a Guzzlord doesn't hit that hard against Mandibuzz, so yeah, we take that no problem. Going to overfarm a little bit. Hopefully this Aerial Ace knocks out the Guzzlord, and we have some energy loaded for the Talonflame. In comes Dunsparce, so a little bit of a core breaker here, but hopefully all that energy we have stored on the Weezing is going to come in handy. Now, I don't necessarily expect them to shield, but we also don't want to debuff ourselves so early, right? So that's the thing with Weezing. You have to be a little bit careful with if you run Overheat. You don't want to debuff yourself super early. So I am going to go straight Brutal Swing here. Once again, straight Brutal Swing. It's not going to be enough to knock out. And that wasn't necessarily the best timing, but I just kind of want to chip this as much as I can. And at this point, I still have 2 shields. Might as well use them and just fast attack down at this point. Don't think they're going to be able to reach 3 drill runs before they get fast attack down. So this is a GG to start things off. And Galarian Weezing making a nice debut. Always nice when you can win the first game with a new Pokemon, a new team. And here we go, making that climb towards that expert rank. Let me know in the comments how you guys are doing this season. Isn't it crazy? A trainer has already hit the legend rank this season. G-Weezing, one of the top trainers, not just in Europe, but in the entire world, who always has success with unique spice picks, hit legend already. I think he was the first to do it in the world. You may also know him as the brother of Jonkus, one of the most popular content creators in Pokemon Go PvP, maybe the most popular. And G-Weezing has made such a name for himself beyond that of just Jonkus' brother. He's become just such a world-class player. But here we are in game number 2. Oof, we get hit with the Hyper Beam from Diggersby, and now we are going to go for the Dark Pulse here. Hopefully we can retain the switch advantage, because Galarian Weezing does not like the Toxapex matchup. It's going to resist the Fairy Winds. We can only throw those non-stab Brutal Swings, so we want to retain the switch advantage, keep Gastrodon on Toxapex if possible. But we are down a shield here, which is not ideal. Diggersby Safe Swap can be a real menace in the current meta. And we are going to go for the Dark Pulse here against the Toxapex. Dark Pulse is going to connect and going to go for some chip damage before I go down here. Now let's see how this plays out. Aerial Ace connects. Oh, and speaking of G-Weezing, this is actually his team. This is the team that he used to hit legend. Diggersby, Toxapex, Talonflame, and this team is a little bit of an issue for our team because it kind of counters us all the way through. So we are going to Oh, we get hit by the Brave Bird. And we are going to go for the Brutal Swing here. Let's see how this plays out. Brutal Swing does knock out. But unfortunately, this Toxapex is so healthy. I don't think we're going to be able to get to 3 Brutal Swings before they can get to 2 Sludge Waves because they have just such a head start on energy here. But that's our only play, to try and get to triple Brutal Swing before they can get to double Sludge Wave. But no, they're already there. GG. Pretty dominant win for the opponent here as Sludge Wave connects on G-Weezing. And our honeymoon phase comes to a quick end. We realize the team is not invincible. But we are not going to stop there. We are going to persevere. On to the next one. Also completely random, but Future dropped a new album recently that I was listening to at the gym, and it was pretty good. I liked it a lot. All right, Gastrodon into Drapion. We see the Moltres say swap, Galarian Moltres, and these Fairy Winds are really chunking. Of course, we know they might bait us with the Ancient Power, but you kind of have to respect that Brave Bird unless you're a crazy person. So they do bait us. We're going to go for the Brutal Swing here, and I feel like this is a pretty safe bait because even if they call it, I can just go for another Brutal Swing to knock out. So we get the shield, and at this point, I'm thinking like maybe I just shield and go for a full farm down, especially if they Brave Bird, which they do. I can go for a full farm down, and I have 100 energy. I have 100 energy on Weezing for this Drapion. Overheat lands. In comes Jumpluff, dude. And we're going to go for another overheat. Weezing is going crazy. Oh my gosh, we get the final shield. We swap in Mandibuzz, and unfortunately for Jumpluff, they can only throw Aerial Aces at us, whereas our Aerial Aces that we're going to throw are super effective. So positive matchup there for Mandibuzz, and we see a top left from the opponent. Although the Fairy Winds from Jumpluff are super effective, still going to be a strong matchup there for Mandibuzz, unless the Jumpluff was running like Acrobatics or maybe like Dazzling Gleam. But with Aerial Ace Energy Ball, the standard moveset, that's going to be a really strong matchup for the Mandibuzz because you can probably like 3-shot the Jumpluff with Aerial Ace maybe. And going to need a lot of Aerial Aces to take out Mandy. Here we go, on to the next one. Gastrodon into Wiggles. This is neutral, and our opponent swaps out right away. We don't have an obvious answer for Dugong, so a little bit awkward for us. A little bit awkward. We are going to fire off Body Slam before we get debuffed, which I don't know if that's necessarily the right play. I think maybe I'm better off still getting debuffed. That way I can at least threaten the Earth Power. But I don't know. Part of me wanted to make sure I got off a move before getting debuffed. I think you could look at it either way. Get off the Earth Power. Unfortunately, it's not enough, and I know I need Switch at all costs. So I was worried if he went for like Drill Run here, might knock me out, might simultaneously knock out. So I couldn't afford to get Mandy onto Wiggles. I do get off this Earth Power, which is pretty nice. So this is making me feel good. I'm like, they've already shown 2 counters for Mandy. There's no way they have a 3rd counter, right? Wrong. Shadow Walrus. Oh my gosh. This is horrible for Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz literally has nowhere to go against this whole team. So I'm forced to swap in Mandibuzz against the Walrein because Wigglytuff would be even worse than Walrein is for Mandibuzz. At least we can hit this Walrein for like, I don't know, some neutral damage-ish. And we are going to luckily live the Icicle Spear with 1 HP to get this off. And this made me think, maybe there's a chance we get a shield. And I'm going to throw the Brutal Swing here. This should grab the final shield. Unfortunately, the problem is Wiggles still has a decent chunk of health where Brutal Swing's not going to be enough. And they're going to get our final shield here because I figure Icicle Spear would do more than like a Swift from Wiggles. And they do catch my Brutal Swing here. But, you know, the thing is, even if I didn't fall for the catch, I think by the time I would overheat the Wiggles, they would outpace my Weezing anyway. So I don't think the catch necessarily won them the game. I think the catch just was kind of the icing on the cake for them. And at this point, I actually decided to make a decision to swap Talonflame in for Mandy, just because I felt like I was a little bit soft to Fairy, a little bit soft to like Ice. So yeah, we actually swap in Talonflame as a team adjustment, which I don't recommend, just like, oh, I lost a few games, I'm going to swap my team, right? I don't recommend doing that, but I felt like there was some merit, there was some reasoning behind the switch up here. I felt like we were kind of soft to Ice with this team. We didn't really have an obvious answer to Ice types. And like, right, Dugong, like that's a water Ice, so it's not like Talonflame is a great answer, but it's a better answer than Mandibuzz. So rather than being like double neutral / soft to Dugong and then weak to Dugong, at least we have like, we don't really have a Dugong weakness as much with Talonflame as opposed to Mandibuzz. So I feel like Talonflame made a little bit more sense here, even though maybe Mandibuzz. I think the reason we went Mandibuzz is because we felt like Feraligatr was a little bit problematic with Talonflame. Oh gosh, Dragonite. Okay, tough lead, but let's see what we can do here. We go for the Body Slam. Look at Gastrodon's little frowny face. I always kind of laugh at his little frowny face. And then check out what happens here. So this is where we actually kind of benefit from the state of the game. So we take the Dragon Claw. Technically, that one Dragon Breath should have knocked us out right before the Body Slam, but we got what's called the damage registration error when you hear people use that term. So technically, we shouldn't have gotten off that Body Slam, but because of the inconsistency in the mechanic, we do get it off, which is unfortunate for our opponent. We go for the Overheat. I go for a potential catch here. They don't fall for it. So this Dugong has a ton of energy, which is a little bit scary, but I am feeling pretty solid in the situation, and I decide, you know what? I'm just going to put this all on Weezing. I have the Brave Bird. I'm just going to take this move, go for the Brave Bird. It's going to put the Dugong low, and hopefully I can take out Dugong before they can throw the Icy Wind at me. At this point, I think I had kind of lost track of Dugong's energy, so I just decided to throw this immediately just to not take any chances instead of over-farming. Get rid of the Dugong. We got 2 shields still, and it's a Feraligatr. And now we're expecting the catch. We're expecting the catch. There it is. There's the catch attempt. And now we've got so much energy, so we're going to go for the Brutal Swing. And that lands, and then we're going to go for the Overheat, which you could say is a BM here, but also Overheat does more raw damage than the Brutal Swing, even when resisted. So a big boom there with the Overheat, knocking out Feraligatr. And a GG, and a nice first set there for Shiny Shadow G-Weezing in his debut. And we get a 3-2 set there, 26-94. And it's on to the next one. Or is it? Rise taking his time. There we go, on to the next set. In that battle queue. Here we go, we're playing Mimi, terrific player. Goodra, okay. Interesting matchup here. We know Goodra potentially has access to Power Whip, so we just got to keep that in mind. We do get off the Earth Power first, though, which is pretty nice. Just going to fire this off, and we grab a Protect Shield. So I've got the shield advantage, and at this point I'm thinking, you know, I'm just going to, like, sacrifice my Gastrodon, and then maybe he gives me, like, a farm with G-Weezing. That would be pretty nice. He fires off double Aqua Tail here. We want to try and keep Talonflame away from Goodra if possible. I come in with Weezing, and he comes in Drapion. Unfortunately, Drapion is pretty tough for us once our Gastro is out of the picture, right? He makes a nice shield call as well. And now that we are debuffed, our Overheat's not going to be quite enough to knock out. So suddenly we're in a bit of a precarious situation. I feel like I haven't used that word in a long time, but that's a pretty good vocab word. I like that word. Precarious. Go for the Overheat here. And he swaps in Goodra. And dude, this is so brutal. No pun intended what happens here. Because I'm 4 times debuffed, the Brutal Swing doesn't even KO. And I get Dragon Breath down first. Oh my gosh. Unreal, dude. This allows him to get off the Aqua Tail worth of chip. And we know that Drapion is going to reach an Aqua Tail as well. With the Zoomer in the back, who knows if it would have mattered anyway. We'd probably lose this anyway. But, yeah, that was tough. That was tough. Azumarill, you might be... There's probably already been over-under 1.5 comments. Rise, what do you do against Azumarill with this team? Well, Azumarill is kind of tough for this team, not going to lie. But we did manage to beat a few of them, and those were some of our most insane wins, which is why I encourage you to stay tuned for the part 2, which I may save for, like, Monday, perhaps. Sunday or Monday, because we got Spicy Saturday tomorrow. I've got some fun weekend plans as well I'm excited for. So, wink, wink. Gastrodon, Malamar. Neutral matchup here. We are going to make sure we build up to that Earth Power. They actually Superpower, which tells me they're going to swap. And there comes the Dugong. Dugong. We're big Dugong fans. Someone asked me if Dugong was my favorite Pokemon because they feel like I always use it. And I don't feel like I use it that often, but I do like it. I've always been a Dugong fan. And the only time I've ever actually run it in a regional was in the Los Angeles regional, which I was able to win. So... technically 100% win rate in regionals with Dugong. We go for the Brave Bird here before going down against the Azumarill. Get some valuable chip damage off. They're going to bubble us down. Going to come back in with Gastro, force them to expend energy, and we actually CMP them, which is like best case scenario here. I get a little bit of chip damage off, and... oh, never mind. Dude, I thought the same thing in the actual game. I was like that looked like a CMP, didn't it? But anyway, they swap, we swap. These Psy Waves are super effective against our poison typing. They're really chunking. I'm going to have to shield to preserve some health here. Otherwise, I might be at jeopardy of getting farmed down. And Azu has a ton of energy, right? So at this point, I'm like, my only win con is hoping this is a superpower, which is double resisted, which isn't going to do much at all. So I take the superpower. I still have a little bit of health. I do one. I bait the Brutal Swing. And I'm thinking I can probably live one more bubble. So I do 2. I get to the Overheat. And Overheat's a very hard-hitting move. And this is going to knock out the Azumarill in a crazy win. Like I just told you, Azumarill teams were some of our craziest wins where we had to play very well to find those win conditions. And, yeah, I was happy with that one there. Galarian Weezing, really fun Pokemon to use. I plan on using it again on stream today, which I don't do often. I like to mix it up all the time on stream, but it was so much fun yesterday. I think we're going to run a new team. If you guys have any team suggestions, like Pokemon I could pair it with, feel free. And if you say, like, Shadow Machamp and... like, you need a little bit of bulk around Galarian Weezing, okay? Okay, a little bit of, so we're playing Mango here, who, by the way, was #1 on the global leaderboard. He's an absolute terror of a battler, this guy is. And we lead against Ariados, and at first I was thinking, like, this is a core breaker. For some reason, I was thinking it was a core breaker, but it's actually not. Like, Galarian Weezing resists everything. So, why was I thinking it was a core breaker? I don't know. Brain fart, I guess. Like, I should have just swapped immediately. I don't know why I was staying. And luckily for us, we swapped Talon, and he didn't really have an obvious answer. He swapped in Malamar. I make a mistake here. I fall for the CMP. I should have thrown earlier, but also if I threw one earlier, Body Slam might not have knocked out. So I'm forced to shield. Ariados has lots of energy. So I want to get out of here, and I'm going to get out into G-Weezing. But shields are down. And here's Drapion. And he didn't debuff me, and I think that was Mango's mistake here. I think he wanted to save the energy for Gastro, but I think he should have lunged my Weezing. Because without the lunge debuff, boom! Overheat one-shots. And now we're at the next overheat. There's the first lunge. He does win CMP. He's going to get off 2 lunges, but remember, lunge is double resisted by the Poison Fairy dual typing. So we live the lunge, get off this double resisted overheat. Double resisted overheat, still knocks out. And that is a GG. So I think Mango might have had us there. So a rare misplay from one of the best players around. We have one of the, I would say, one of the best, if not the strongest, like local scenes in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in terms of Pokemon Go PvPers. Some of our locals include the likes of Dunebug and Arrow and Bopper and Mango, who we just played. And I'm not too shabby myself, and Nighttime Clasher as well, a regional champion. So we had a weekend with like 7 local tournaments, and Mango won like 3 of them or something, 4 of them. I don't know. He definitely won more than anyone else. It was very impressive. Here we go. We see a Mandibuzz lead, and theoretically, right, Talonflame would be more of my soft counter, but Talonflame's just not really a safe swap. So we safe swap our hard counter because Weezing's just a safer Pokemon in general. We land the overheat, and now that we've landed the overheat, I feel like I can potentially shield my way to flip switch. So that's what I'm thinking right now. I'm like, I'm going to try and flip switch here, maybe commit 2 shields. But then what happens here is we have a change of plan, if I remember this game correctly. So I get both shields down, and I'm like, you know, now maybe I'll just take the shield advantage, because Talonflame up a shield is really deadly, especially once this Dunsparce is out of the picture. Hopefully Talonflame can really put in some work. So we absorb the move there. We swap in Talon. What's in back? Feraligatr. And we're about to say, see you later to this Feraligatr. We're going to have to shield the Hydro Cannon, of course. This would one-shot our Talonflame. We do 1 more Incinerate for a little bit more damage, which is important, and go for the Fly. Really need this to KO, and it does. And this is going to allow us to get off some really valuable chip damage here against this Mandibuzz. Dark Pulse comes through. We're going to go for this big Brave Bird. Going to do some sizable damage to the bulky Mandibuzz. Swap in Gastrodon, which has some energy, and normally what is a very poor matchup for Mr. Gastrodon is going to actually flip because of the sizable health advantage it has here. And we have the double body slam. Let's see. 1 body slam, boink. 2 body slams. Will this be enough for little Gastrodon? Yes, a rare situation where Gastrodon beats Mandibuzz. And we get a win there. I think there is 1 more battle to close out this video. But yeah, overall, Shadow Galarian Weezing has been really fun. If you guys have enjoyed this, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, comment down below. All comments are appreciated. They help out the YouTube algorithm. And we are going to close things off. Who's going to be the last opponent of the day? Can we close it out with a win? Or will we go down with a loss swinging? Gastro into Quag. Neutral matchup. Battle of the Mud Boys. With that water ground typing. And this is actually like really good that we're seeing it here, right? Because this Quag is an absolute menace to our backline. So this is where we need to see it. I would probably live this, but I have so much energy. I don't want to risk like him sniping me with something. So he actually catches onto a Fortress. So great catch. Gets a whole Volt Switch through as well, which is pretty terrible for me. But I do have this Talon, which is going to completely farm down the Fortress. I make what's potentially a mistake here. You're going to see, I probably should have just flied right away to not have to use my second shield. At this point, I feel like I have to shield to get off this energy. And we're going to go for the Fly. Hope that they let this go, honestly. He might have thought I had 2, because I don't know if he would have outpaced to another Aqua Tail there. In comes Magnezone. And I'm going to hard swap here because they're not quite at the move. So I get a full Mud Slap worth of damage and this Body Slam, which he kind of has to shield. He has to respect. This forces him to Wild Charge right away. And now he's going to be dry. So even though this Magnezone is not a good matchup necessarily for Weezing, we're only 4 off the Brutal Swing. And he knows it's over. because a mere shot wouldn't one-shot our Weezing. And we are able to get the win. 4-1 set for Galarian Weezing. Was that enough for us to hit Expert? Let's find out as we claim our reward. Catch the Wobbuffet. Check those IVs. Not a hundo, so basically useless. And let's see, 2742, just on the cusp of Expert. But maybe, perhaps, we hit it later on with this very same squad. So stay tuned for that part 2. And remember to leave a like if you want to see that part 2. I don't think you'll be disappointed with some of the wins where they were absolutely insane. We also played some huge names, some popular content creators, some world champions in that that video. So all that said, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed, once again, like, subscribe, comment down below, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.